about how to organize and mobilize community members as community members. Oh, okay. So we're the Fright Communities Action Coalition, and this is our third meeting, so thank you for joining us. And we're back here at the Mead Valley Library. And just as a reminder, this meeting will be recorded. Once we get to the panel part of the section, we might not hear from community members as much since the mic will be with the speakers, but just wanted to let everybody know. Okay, so my name is Tatiana Flores. I'm a Moreno Valley resident and an organizer with the Center for Community Action and Environmental Justice.
My name is Carla Cervantes, and I'm an organizer with Sierra Club San Antonio, Mead Valley Clean Air Coalition, and Paris Neighbors in Action, and also a resident of Mead Valley. We're so glad you guys are here today. So before we get started, we wanted to go through some community agreements. So one, it's okay not to know, because we're all here to learn together about best practices, best ways to work together. And two, challenge the idea, not the person. For the sake of respect and kindness, let's narrow our disagreements to the idea in question rather than the person. Assume good intentions, but own the impact. Respond if something said bothers you, but also don't assume malicious intent. If you say something that hurts someone else, consider why or how that statement might have hurt others. And four, respect each participant's right to contribute. Be present, monitor your own airtime, and invite others into the conversation. Before we move on, are there any other guidelines we need to have in place that you guys think we haven't covered? Okay, great. Let's continue. I'd like to introduce the chair of Fright Communities Action Coalition, a community activist, founder of Inland Valley Alliance, Franco Lucilo Pacheco.
Hello everybody, my name is Franco Pacheco. Thank you for coming out today on a Saturday. I know there's a lot of other things we could be doing today, but I'm very grateful that everybody showed up to learn about mobilizing our community. I'm the chair of the Freight Actions Community Coalition, and through this grant, we are tasked with, informing the public about truck routes and air quality and all these things. So it's very important that the community come out and learn these things. We are a coalition that consists of various community groups and nonprofits throughout the region that banded together to make positive change in our region through informing community members, advocating for safer roads, and using our platform to advocate for communities most affected by freight. Rather than focus on only one area, we decided to create an alliance and work together. The Freight Communities Action Coalition was selected by CARB to receive $250,000 in funding for an educational track award. RNOW is a fiscal sponsor. Give an applause for RNOW because so these are all the groups that are involved. In the Action Coalition, we have the Rural Association of Mid-Valley. Debbie's here with them. And then Mid-Valley Clean Air Coalition, which Carla founded. Peace Edge, RNL, obviously. Paris Neighbors, the Green Coalition, Robert Redford Conservancy, Safe Temescal, Sierra Club, Lakeview Nuevo, I think it's Focus Nuevo.
Yes.
And CCAEJ, and Inland Valley Alliance. So a little bit about the grant, CARB Community Air Grants and California Climate Investments. The community air grants support community-based nonprofit organizations and California Native American tribes for technical assistance and to support participation in the AB 617 program. CAGs help build guaranteed capacity to become active partners with government to identify, evaluate, and reduce air pollution and exposure to harmful emissions in their communities, strengthen the economy, improve public health and environment in disadvantaged communities. So, with that said, I'd like to introduce Jairo Carbajal, founder of Paris Neighbors in Actions and a coalition member of Freight Actions Community.
Hello everyone, I'm Jairo Carbajal with Paris Neighbors in Action. Paris Neighbors in Action is a local coalition focused on combating over-industrialization, advocating for our community. Sorry, not too prepared, I apologize, but I'm just gonna go off my head because it's easier. We've been at it for like 2 years, I think maybe 3 almost. Started off with Franco, Carla, Jillian, Menez, and we ended up like around 10 members now. Most of them are really busy, which is like a big difficulty, but it's fine because we all support each other in the ways we can. Some cool things that happened for us in Paris is we, right here, we see like a, well, you know, a warehouse. Luckily, this happened during our election year. We did manage to get our new council member to replace our 25-year incumbent Rita Rogers. Now we have Elizabeth Vallejo. And luckily, the meeting ran too long, so this project wasn't able to go into Rita Rogers' hands. And the next meeting, we ended up with apartment buildings, which is a big win. In the 2 years we've been at it, so it's just really cool. Politics is really important when it comes to mobilization. It's annoying, it sucks that you have to play into it, but it's how it is. Yeah. Struggling, okay. Some difficulties we have is like, we post a lot on social media. Everybody uses social media, or you know, majority of people use social media. More people like where I'm like 27. A lot of people are very active. The issue is people are like, yeah, this thing sucks. I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna share it, but no one shows up to the meetings. And we're like, look, where's everybody at? You know. And like, if we ever been into meetings, it's a little bit intimidating. You know, seeing union workers there, all in the same suit, standing up for each other. Going on, do your thing, but like, it is discouraging, you know. Sometimes you would wish to see your own members behind you, you know what I mean? But it's fine. It comes with the part of like this whole situation we got doing. But that's one of the issues we've been having. Another issue would be translating like agendas for people, or like, when I first started, I did not know what the hell any of these things were saying, and I just saw numbers, and I was like, I was like, I just see 400,000 square feet. I was like, that doesn't seem good. All right, let me see how I can break it down for other people, make it easier, so people will be like, oh, this is what's happening. This is what's coming to Paris. Specifically, we're Paris based, but and it's also a big issue is limited time. Is like everybody has jobs here. It's part of life. You know, you can't around it. Maybe you can, hopefully, that'd be cool. But, you know, agendas drop on Fridays for us, and it's like, the weekends, staff isn't available to answer any questions, you have to wait until Monday, and the next day comes and you got the meeting, and it's just one of the big problems we have nowadays is not enough time to really research what we have. We have been getting better at it. There's some ways to do it, still learning, but that's one thing. And I'm gonna move to the next slide. One of the biggest helps for us is really relying on our neighbors, like Arnow, CCEJ, Sierra Club. You know, going to these people that have been in the fight for a while has always been, I don't think we'd be able to do so many things without these people. So, big round of applause for all these people around us. for example, like, they'll come out to our meetings, it's like, hey, can you guys come out? And they'll be like, yeah, we'll be there. And we'll return the favor. When they need something, we'll be there, and that's the best way to go about it. I think supporting your neighbors is the best way to do it, because there's not many of us. But we make a big impact when we all gather up together, so I think that's a very important thing to keep in mind. One thing too, with, are successful is politicians really hate our, pretty much calling them out on what they do. They get, they just choke up, especially the person in charge right now. He gets red like a tomato. You say something, and he can't hide his emotions in any way, but always digging into their past, learning or pretty much calling out people for votes they've done and how they affect current situations really is a big help. Calls them out, it's like, come on, where are you getting that? Let's see, and I think I covered this part, but like pretty much we have a lot of people like Carla, Franco that are able to translate the gibberish stuff, and we're able to relay information to citizens, residents, whatever, people in the community, so they can understand what's actually going on into the city. And next one, that was, I think, too much. Any questions?
Now, we'll introduce Jen Larrett Smith with Arnell.
Thanks, guys. 2 minutes, yeah. So yes, as you mentioned, I'm the founder of Arnow, and I wanted to share the inspiration behind the formation of Arnow. This is the West Campus Upper Plateau. It was a project that was presented way back in 2022. That's when we formed. It includes 3 mega warehouses and multiple lots of smaller warehouses. When I say mega warehouse, I'm not kidding. The biggest building was 1.25 million square feet, which is the size of a Disneyland and a half, basically. One building. And you can see from the picture that it's surrounded by residential homes on almost every side, including mine. So you can see why I was inspired to start this. And also I also feel like, if you look at it, it doesn't take like a genius to see that this is a terrible idea, and yet this is what they were putting forward. Give me the next slide, yeah. I also want to tell you it's a beautiful spot. It is just south of Sycamore Canyon Wilderness Park, and it's a place where hikers and bikers and a lot of people like to enjoy their time back there, and it's a real shame to think about building warehouses in this spot. It was a unicorn project, okay? So most warehouse projects are presented to the county or a particular city. This one was under the Land Use Authority of the Marsh Joint Powers Authority, which was formed in 1996 to repurpose excess land from Marsh Air Force Base. It's a separate government entity, and it was part of a commission that included 2 representatives from the county, 2 from the city, 2 from Moreno Valley, and 2 from Paris. So it was a very complicated political structure we were dealing with. And one developer has had an exclusive contract to build for the last 25 years, and mostly what they built is warehouses, almost 900 acres worth. So the public hearing for this particular, well, not that iteration, but for this project was held on May 12, 2025. And I will just cut to the chase, Tatiana, you can move to the next slide. I'll cut to the end, and then I'll tell you kind of how we build stuff. So the reason why I get to speak to you today, probably, in terms of how to mobilize communities, we won back in May of last year. So, very improbable victory, but the Marsh Joint Powers Commission voted unanimously to reject the project as it was presented. And as you can see from the picture, this is from a newspaper, there were hundreds of people in that room. And what you can't see in this picture is that there's also hundreds of people in the lobby, because there was a spillover space. We were pretty much at capacity for the county chamber building. And that was, I think that was a really important part of why they voted against it. If you show the next slide, also it's not our first rodeo. They actually had the public hearing a year before, in June of 2024, and back then, that commission, I'm certain that night they were planning to vote for it. But we showed up in a way that they were not expecting. We had like 600 people or so there with our No More Warehouses signs. And many people in this room actually were there. I know some folks were there. So, yeah, it was an amazing time. At that time, at that public hearing, they were just like, why don't we wait and vote on this later? That's what happened back in June. And then it went to the next year where they finally voted against it. Okay, next slide. Okay, so I cut to the end, but in the early days, that was not clear that was gonna happen. I was actually told multiple times when I started RNow that this was a waste of time. That this was a done deal. Gina's nodding her head. This was a done deal. There is no way you can win against a multi-billion-dollar developer. I was told that many times. So to tell you how we got started, the developer had a meeting, back then it was COVID, so they had a meeting online to explain the project. You could tell from the chat that the neighbors were like not having it, but you know, you can selectively address the chat when you're on Zoom. And finally, I was just like, you know what, this sucks. So I just put like a Google link in the chat and just said, hey, if you want to organize against this, if you don't like this, click here. And I could see like my city council person, when he saw that in the chat. But anyway, it just started with a group of neighbors, right? 17 neighbors met in the park. We mourned about what we were losing and tried to strategize. And the first thing we thought was, if neighbors knew that this was the plan, they would be against this. So the first plan we did was we were just gonna knock every door that we could around the perimeter of this, because you know it's surrounded by homes. So we knocked every door. We had like flyers for them to tell them that we were gonna do this community meeting in the community center. We put flyers in the community mailboxes, and that was when we did our first official community meeting, which, were you there, Mike? Oh, he was there, that first meeting, March 30th, okay. And then also another thing that I had to do right away was figure out what the hell I was doing. So I was like, let's organize against this. How do you do that? So one of the main things that I did was I talked to people. I talked to George Hay at the Sierra Club, very, very important that I talked to him. I talked to Anna Gonzalez at CCAEJ, right? Like those are people who came along at the very beginning and partnered and helped me, and big shout out. And that's really important to seek out those people. So we've always had a two-pronged strategy. The first is political, right? So meeting with the decision makers, mobilizing community. We've always been a burr in their butt. We show up to meetings, we do public comment, we do emails, right? So that they know we're around. And then as Jairo had said, like partnering with other groups is really important to us, right? That coalition that we have built, because as he said, we show up for each other. And then on the legal side, there is an environmental impact report with any project that's going to impact the environment, and you have to get technical responses. So I had Mike organize that. Thank you, Mike. We got like 10,000 pages of comments for that EIR, and we've always had a legal strategy. We've always known we needed an attorney, so we also have a CEQA attorney as well. Yeah. So generally what worked, so a big thing that worked for us is to just build the list. I'm like, Mike's like, how did we get our email list? I'm like, I don't even know. It was just over time. As we talked to neighbors, as I presented at different community meetings, we would just write down your email, I'll add you to my list. And then once I have your email, I try to honor it, right? I try to not spam you with too much email. I try not to write 5-page long emails. What I try to do is just give you a very simple, easy to digest task you can do. So one of the things I do is a 5-minute action email. So there's a link And you can click on it, it'll open in your email browser, the to and the subject heading is already filled in. There's like a template. All you have to do is add a couple lines, sign your name, send it. I try to make it as easy as possible because I know people are really busy, but they want to do something. And so that's one way I feel like I can send that out there and people are like, oh, I could do that. And they stay engaged. Because that's another piece of it is I had to like, you know, this was first proposed in 2022, so I had to keep them engaged throughout. So that was one way we did that. Coalition building gets another shout out, right? All those people who showed up to our meetings, yes, yes, and round of applause for coalition. Yeah, because all those people that we worked with and partnered with, they showed up at those public hearings. They brought their people. That's partly why we had hundreds, right? And then mobilizing when it counts. So again, we did this in partnership a lot, but like for each public hearing, we had yard signs that would say exactly where and when to show up and how important it was. We had postcards that went out. We had a partner group do phone calls of neighbors. We had flyers in the mailboxes. So just in those months, because I don't make people go to like every meeting, they knew that like this one was an important one. Everybody show up, and we blitzed the community with info, and that was how we got them there. And so I think really the bottom line for us, if I had to break it down, is persistence and teamwork, right? I have a very incredible volunteer board that I wish I could pay. Partnerships with I've said the coalition many times, but that's actually really important. And then just like we've always been on it, we've just been dogged with that March Joint Powers, which it's technically under the authority of the county now, but we were dogged with that March Joint Powers Authority Commission. We met with everyone that we could. We were sending emails constantly. We were going to their meetings and making public comments. And that's, I think, what it took for them to know that we were serious. And hundreds of people showing up on their public hearing. I think the other thing that we did was that we pulled every thread we could. Like we tried, every time we had an idea, we're like, why don't we try this? What about this? You know, and then we just tried everything. It's almost like throwing spaghetti at the wall, so it sticks. But not everything stuck. So you can go to the next slide. I won't go into all our failures, but just say that you can't win everything, right? So yes, we pulled many threads and many threads didn't go anywhere. So for example, I won't do all of them, but like we did this change.org petition that got 3,000 plus signatures and it went nowhere. Like they just didn't care. Like you show up with the signatures and they're like, whatever, doesn't matter. So that was one thing that didn't work, right? So we had quite a few things that we tried that didn't work. So just to say, yay, we won, but you know, it was a long road.
Sorry guys, we're having some technical issues. We didn't omit that slide on purpose.
Oh, okay. Well, I can just tell you so the next thing on the horizon is we don't know. We know the developer hasn't gone away. So yay, we won last year. But we also know that these things have a way of being like zombies and coming back. And so we are trying to stay vigilant. We're still working behind the scenes and doing things because we know the developer's still working behind the scenes and doing things. And so we know it has gone away. And so if you want to join our email action list, we would love to have you. So just talk to me.
Okay.
It's coming back? Okay.
And then that's a
Yeah, that's a QR code. So it came back just in time. You can join our email list if you would like. Or you can email me if you don't like QR codes. That's fine too. Oh, but there's not two L's. I actually did that wrong. It's just JLAR.
I can fix that before we send it over to people.
Great, thank you. So thank you.
All right, let's give one more round of applause for Jen. Like, she really downplayed a lot of stuff, but it was a huge win. I'd like to introduce another powerhouse in organizing, Jean. She's out from Hemet, and they just had a recent win, so let's go ahead and welcome her.
for having us today. This is our group here from Hemet. If we give them a they're what we call the Warehouse Warriors. And if you'd like to take a picture, a little look at Donna down there. Donna, stand up for us and show what they've done, what you've done for us here. She's got the little shirt going on. But usually have the last one. So a little bit about us. We are, I think we're the infant coalition in the group. Although we represent a community of 55 plus age, we didn't start our coalition until September of 24. So we're a little bit younger than you guys. We had no idea. The city council had really tried to pull the wool over our eyes. They named our project the Simpson Road Project. We all thought it was about road repair. It was actually a Newland Simpson warehouse of 1.2 million square feet, sitting right adjacent to Diamond Valley Lake. Horrible. It's a beautiful area zoned for commercial tourism, so we were shocked. We were also shocked when our city council used an environmental report from 2012, right? 10 years old. The project started in 22, so they really tried to sneak it by us, and they did a good job. We had no idea. At that point, when we got involved in September 25, what had happened was we had already had the environmental hearing. We had already had a public hearing. The draft environmental comment period was done and closed. Well, we opened that sucker right back up. What happened that September was we had our city council in our District 4 running again for election, and we made it very miserable for him, very miserable. In fact, we insisted that in order for us to really get behind any of them for their election, that they enforce a moratorium on warehouses. So by December of 24, by December 24, we had a moratorium going, which we are currently under another 10-month extension for that moratorium, which is amazing. Organized reform, I mean, these things are pretty clear. Next slide, please. Influence decision makers, well, one way to do it is by them not, when they're running. Traffic, we all know why, right? Air pollution, property value, noise and impact, quality of life. We live by Diamond Valley Lake. And it is a very enjoyable area. Bikers, hikers, walkers, birds, fairy shrimp. We're environmentally protected on Warren Road, which has been a big issue as far as right-of-way and expansion for the Warren Road project. Next slide, please. Some of the things we know, greenhouse gas, take a peek. There's transported 8.4, whatever that is. What is that? What is that? Is that billion trillion? What is that? I don't even know what that is. Who's the mathematician in the room? I don't know what that means. Anyway, it's up there. Next slide. So understanding your project is really critical, and how you convey that to your people is really critical. I mean, we had to know, if you stand before city council and you say, it's an 850,000 square foot project, it's 1.2 million, they just turn the other way, and you don't know what you're talking about. And you lose your credibility, right? So our job as a group was to inform and to keep people on task and have the exact information. And in a minute, you'll hear why. Environmental report. I'm sad to say I'm an old commercial lender, 35 years. We did real estate. When I was lending, we didn't do warehouses. The biggest complaint was retail, large retail, or self-storage. Well, self-storage, nowadays when people are losing their homes and moving back and forth, they're quite a cash cow for a lot of people, so it was a big deal. The important part about the truck routes, we'll look at that. Know your zoning and approvals. Really critical. Our guy was asking for a general plan amendment and 3 variances, one in zoning, one for height, and one for special use. He wanted to go to a 61-foot high building to accommodate technology. So there we have it, right? People losing their jobs. Next slide. What we see here was the pipeline report at the time of the first moratorium. And I've called out our project, I've called out Roy's project, but you can't see this, but this was something we got from the Planning Commission. City council didn't give us this. We kind of sidled up to the planning commission, which in Hemet is a lot easier than going to Riverside County, right? We're all within a 5.5 square mile city. It takes us 5-6 minutes to get to our town, our city hall. So it's much easier for us than the job that you have all been faced with going all the way to Lemon, right? Very important. So this was a moratorium pipeline. It was 9.9 million square feet of warehouses approved and in process, of which ours was 1.2. Roy's, yours is 2.2 million, and the others are within Hemet as well. We're still battling those. None of those are in construction. We haven't seen environmental reports. We haven't seen a draft on Roy's project either, which is right backed up, what, 5 feet from your backyard?
4.5.
Pardon me. Told you I'm not that good at math. So these are things that are important. Again, we got the truck routes in Hemet from Planning Commission. So know your contacts, make your contacts, use them when you get friendly and sidle up. Next slide. Building up 14. The neighborhood leaders, I can't thank them enough. I mean, there are things that I just wasn't that good at, organizing, getting people to go, make posters, go to the neighbors. We only have 573 homes in our community. We were trying to engage the Saddle Point community with 480. South of us, and Morgan Crossing with 150. They're young families, not a 55 and over. So we all get out of our pool during the day and go stomp these neighborhoods trying to engage the younger families. Well, they just weren't buying it. It was very difficult to get young people engaged. The youngsters in this room, my hat's off to you. We really appreciate you. Keep it up. Because we needed you. We were on city council. They were sick and tired of seeing the old people from the 55s. I can't tell how many times they said that to us. Right? Our city council member, Joel Males, who's now running for Congress, at one point said during the vote, "I don't care what you think. You're my constituents. I vote my conscience." So, as he's running for Congress, guess what little snippet we've cut out for that audio? We're posting that for him. I mean, you have to understand, taking these people on is not a bad thing. We elect these people. They work for us. And without them, without us, where would they be? Sitting in their little power seats. So they need to think about what is good for everyone, not just what's good for them, what's good for the developers. The guy that was working on our project owns another 600 acres in Hemet. He also owns the part of the San Jacinto Commerce Center, 460 acres there. And he is sure to tell us, "I own so much land here in Hemet, you have no idea." At a city council meeting, he said to me, "I own land in Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, California, everywhere. Oh, Utah?" I said, "Is that supposed to impress me?" I said, "That doesn't impress me. It really doesn't. What impresses me is if you really make a difference here and change Hemet in ways that are good for the community." We asked them to put a hospital there. We have no maternity care at the hospital that's poorly run in Hemet. We have no real trauma center in Hemet. Getting to a hospital from multiple, like East Hemet and McSweeney Farms, if anybody knows that area, even the fire stations, their response time is 10 minutes to these areas, which is not satisfactory. So understanding, just because this person has more money, some of us have class and some of us have money, right? So we all know what that means. Next slide, please. Again, traffic studies, level of service impact. We were able to get different studies on the City of Hemet's website that says the level of service already at the corner of where we were at, Warren and Stetson, which is a half mile from the warehouse site, was already rated F. F. I don't know about you, if I got an F in school, I was in trouble. But they don't seem to care. Knowing the air quality, property values, we went in the last city council meeting with the valuations on the 1,202 homes from the 3 communities I mentioned. It was a ton of value, but we also armed them with the property tax, 6.1 million a year. This guy was gonna generate much less than that. And we were all cranky. We also cited the amount that we pay in Melrose and land use taxes to Hemet and to Riverside County, and that was upwards over $1 million. in and of itself per year. So, very important to know. You can get that stuff. If you know how many homes are in your community, just dial in and figure it out. Your average taxes, right? Your average property tax, it makes a difference. And the road damage from trucks alone is anywhere between 4 and 10 times more than a vehicle. That is outrageous. Our roads are the worst probably in any of the areas here. Next slide. Engaging the community. We're fortunate enough to have a clubhouse and a small community, so we can have meetings there. I am the founder of what is called the Members Forum in our community, so we use that avenue and held meetings frequently, sometimes 4 times a month on this every Sunday. We had a standing time. Our team created flyers, social media pages. We went door to door knocking, just like everybody else. Email, text, the same thing that everybody else is doing here. We kind of learned a lot. I was always pinging Jen's page. What's going on over there? And Ukaipa now, I learned a lot from them as well. They were able to put their warehouse battle to a referendum on ballot for this November. If anybody knows about Ukaipa now, that whole thing? Yeah, right? City Council took it up. They decided to cancel the project instead of having it go to a ballot referendum. So they won that battle in a backdoor way, which is amazing. Next slide. This is one of our corner, that's the corner lot, just for reference. Next slide. Developing clear messaging, we said that before. I think this is all pretty consistent. Have compelling facts. Know your stuff. It really boils down to that. And don't be intimidated. If you know what you're doing, you'll get stronger every time you speak to that city council. I mean, I never taught. In my job, I had to go to Washington every February and talk to the regulators there for my career, my industry. So you kind of learn a little bit of how to deal with those politicians. But it was different when I came to this. It was very different for us. Next slide. This was one of the brochures we sent out as well. I know it's kind of funky, but we did this from the Saddle Point residents across the way. We changed the name. We changed their whole idea because we were focusing on their young families. Can't really see that too well. Sorry about that. Next slide. Again, attend the planning commission meetings if you can. We were there. My spouse and I, date night was always Tuesday. Guess what's held on Tuesdays? Planning commission and city council. So I really know how to show a real good time. So speak at city council, even if it's just a simple no. I'm not in support of this project. They need to know that it's not just the few that get up and speak. Although, you know, we may be the ones, we may be carrying a message for our coalition, we may be carrying it for Hemet now, or Riverside now, or whoever now, but they need to know. Submit the written comments on time. I don't know about you, but our city council says if you have them in by 2 p.m., they will be a formal document in the city council meeting. And track your deadlines of public hearings. Jim here, because I'm not real good at that. Every week he was looking for public hearings on these projects. Are you still looking, Jim? You still looking for public hearings?
Oh, yeah.
On the new warehouses? You're not pulling me, are you? Okay. All right. Next screen, please. Newspaper, get a good relationship. Roy introduced me to Jeff Horseman with the Press Enterprise. At first I was just like, oh God, they always misquote you. Well, he's done a pretty good job. A couple times he's misquoted me, or others, and a couple times I didn't like how he made the developer look kind of savvy, and I thought, no, he's not that savvy. He's just got money. But it does work. And so when I pick up the phone and call him or text him saying, I need to talk to you, this is happening again, he takes my call, which is very important. Write op-eds, share visuals, maps. I mean, show people visual. People don't all learn the same way, right? Some of us read. I'm a ferocious reader. I read all the environmental report. I've read everything the city council puts out in the reports. It's kind of that way with me. But not everybody responds that way. So visuals are good. Next slide. So, city council, always keep your demeanor. You know, we want to get pissy with them, right? We want to say bad things, but we don't. Because they will shut you off immediately. City council wasn't as receptive as the planning commission. The planning commission was kind of upset because their opinions weren't taken as seriously from the city council. Our project went to the planning commission in December of '24. They turned it down 5-0. It then went to the city council April 8th of '25. They turned it down 5-0. Take 3, come upon July 15th. Because the city council or someone made a real mistake. They did not include a resolution declining the project in the April 8th meeting. So the attorney for the developer caught that and said, nope, we need a public hearing again. So July 14th of '25, we had a public hearing. Now we win, because mind you, the developer's courting them. Now we win 3-2. Denied, 3-2. Developer threatens to sue the city based on a ruse. He wants 2 council members to recuse themselves. One, because she was previously on the planning commission when it was denied 5-0. The second one, because he was elected, he ran on a no warehouse campaign. Ma'am, this is important to you, if you ever sit in front of a project. He ran on a no warehouse campaign and spoke at a city council meeting, so they decided that that was reason that the developer's civil rights were being violated. Wow, right? So he threatens to sue the city. We hold another public hearing March 10th of this year. Well, the guns were out, the mats were out, the gloves were out. We showed up in mass force. We got there, what time, ladies? 3:15? Yeah. They didn't even open the doors till 5:15. So, there we stood, because we want, in our library where the meetings were held, the middle row was the only one that was viewable on the recordings. So we wanted to take all that space away from, guess who? The men in orange. The carpenters always got the space, so we finally caught on. We were a little slow about it, but we did catch on. And that was very helpful as well. We had people show up, Tatiana, Ismail showed up and spoke on our behalf, so we're very thankful for everybody here. So understand your alliances. I think we all know that just by being here today, right? And holding officials accountable, like we are with our council member, and others as well. Next page. Legal challenges, I think we've talked about that enough. We did use Abigail Smith for reviewing our environmental report. I've had experience with environmental reports being a commercial lender. We serviced over 250 credit unions nationwide. We did all their underwriting. So I've seen a lot of environmental reports. So that was important for us to ferret out who's got what skill sets. I mean, who's got what skill sets to research within your group, within your core team. And just have faith that they're doing their job, and they are. You know, everybody's talking about it, everybody's getting their share done. So it's really important to know all that. And understanding the draft environmental report, making comments, and again, we can't speak up or write enough to our council members. Next slide. Again, here we go. Show up, speak out, stay organized, protect your community. That's what we're here for, right? It's a call to action. Next slide. This guy, is our developer. And I think I'm driving that truck. You can't see me, but I'm in there. I got a little booster seat. And of course, all of our teams running around as well. Next slide. So one thing that a good friend of ours, Roy Ann Smith, she always said to me, Leonardo da Vinci, I've been impressed with the urgency of doing. Knowing isn't enough, we must apply. Being willing is not enough, we must do. Mr. Da Vinci. Thank you for your time.
What a win. So we did get a last minute presenter. When we're talking about warehouses, it's super important to understand that people do work at these warehouses, right? And they are in our community because those are the jobs that are local to us. So she came on her birthday, literally, because it is really important important to her, and so we're really lucky to have her here. Please give a round of applause for an Amazon worker who is trying to really unionize, and she's here for labor. Please give a round of applause for Nanette.
Thank you. Hello. My name is Nanette Placencia, and I have been working at one of these warehouses since 2015. I've been working for one Amazon facility in particular in Moreno Valley called O&T 8, and I am currently, unfortunately, out on workers' comp because I've been injured there. I have been injured 6 times there with 6 different body parts because of the kind of work that we have to do. I originally started to try to unionize my facility back in 2020. That was the start of it. And we were going for about 5 years. Last year in 2025 was the last time we went out to try to get union authorization cards signed. We had went out last year on May 1st. And that was the last time, so we've been paused since then. But between 2020 and 2025, we have been battling ever since. When I first started is I talked to my close coworkers, my group of friends that I'm always with. And I brought them to my home and I told them my idea about, hey, what do you think about unionizing? Because, you know, the issues we were going through at work, for one thing, we get a lot of write-ups. We do our job, but the point of these write-ups were because they felt they have these things that algorithms that time us, and if we weren't going fast enough for them, or they have a thing called TOT, which is time off task, where if you're not constantly scanning, the algorithm is clocking everything you do from the moment you clock in to the moment you clock out. So they use those two combined things to be able to write you up and get rid of you if they just simply want to. So that was a big frustration in my warehouse that, you know, we didn't like because we were working hard, but it seemed it was never enough for them, no matter what. And they were constantly changing their policies. We don't have a say in the policies. They don't ask us, they just come and tell us. They don't give us paperwork on them. We don't even know they're there until something happens, and then a manager will tell us about these policies. So they're constantly changing the policies, and that was another thing we didn't like. And so I told my friends about it, and some of them were excited, like, yeah, we do need something more to help us, you know, we need more protection in our warehouse. Some of them didn't even know what a union was. What is a union? And so throughout my process of starting it, I realized that I ran into a lot of people who didn't know what union was. They had no clue what it was. So I had to start from the beginning and start to educate them on what union is, because they had no clue. And that was hard because I was starting really from the beginning. And so we were trying to educate a lot of people on what union is, what it could provide for us, the power we could get there. And on top of that, so we were doing that and it was going really good. So many people there were very excited for it because they needed that protection because they were going through the same issues. We all basically would go through the same kind of issues there. And we were getting injured a lot. We have high injury rates there. And we have a revolving door that doesn't stop. I mean, they either quit or they get fired, but it's constantly rotating out of those facilities. So when we started, we were doing really good. The whole group, I mean, basically almost the whole warehouse was united for it. And then came the union busters. Amazon flooded our warehouse with these groups, these corporations they hired to, you know, union bust us down. And they broke them off into groups of 3 in every single department. And they put them there on night shift as well. And they stayed there in our departments all day, our entire shift. And they would rotate around to every department. And every department had a group of 3 union busters in there talking to us while we're working. They would come up to us and conversate with us. And they would ask us, so do you have issues here? What are your issues? We're here to help, you know, and they'd make it seem like they're our friends and they're here to make things better. And then after that, then they would, you know, start to talk about union. You know what? I heard union's not that good. I heard that you're gonna waste so much of your paycheck for something that you already are getting here from Amazon. So then they started that. And then after a while of doing that, then they started making us go to these mandatory captive audience meetings. And they were sending about 30 of us throughout the day. You could see a whole crowd going through the warehouse to the back rooms to watch the videos. And then they'd have their two hosts in the front, and they would just talk about how bad it is to be a union member. And then they would try to bring up their own personal experiences. You know, back in my days, I worked at a job that had union, and it was horrible. They didn't help at all, and they just took my paycheck. And those were the common themes going around when we had to go to those captive audience meetings. And then they started scaring people that we were gonna lose our benefits if we unionized. So then in those meetings, they would tell us, look, this is what's gonna happen. If you guys do win and you get a union, all you guys are gonna put all your benefits you have already, all of that, and it's gonna go in this bucket. And you have to start all over. And you're gonna have to negotiate every single thing. We're gonna pull out the healthcare, we're gonna pull out your wages, we're gonna pull out your vacation time, all that you get right now. We have to negotiate on every single thing again, which means you're gonna start with nothing and start all over. And we could deny all of it. We could say, we don't wanna give you any of it, and then where are you guys gonna be? So that was the one time where everyone started fractioning off. Workers started arguing with each other. They're like, Amazon wouldn't lie to us. They're gonna take our benefits, yeah. And I would try to tell them, our group would tell them, yes, they would lie to you because they don't want you to have the power against them. This is not true. We actually start from what we have already, and we negotiate for better on top of that. And they're like, no, Amazon said they're gonna take our benefits. And then so I was the target after that. People would yell at me in the break room. People wouldn't want to sit by me because they were scared that management would retaliate against them if they saw them talking to me at work. People would give me dirty looks, say things under their breath, slam their chairs against the table if I sat next to them and they'd walk away. We have this VOA board, kind of like this, but we have big screens all throughout our warehouse. We have like 65 TVs. Well, they would flood those TVs with anti-union stuff. And then we had a VOA board where people could post comments, but it was supposed to be stuff related to work issues. And you have to have your name, you know, because the managers need to know who's saying these things. Well, during that time, they decided to take that down so you could be private and not have a name. Yeah, just during that time though. And then after that ended, they put that, everyone has to put their name back up. So during that time, these big screens that are called the VOA boards got flooded with bad stuff about me. Yeah, and so I tried to make a complaint about that, and they said they didn't see nothing wrong on those boards. So that was another thing. I was scared, you know, because I got comments like, you think we're gonna make it easy for you, Nanette? Just watch. And I would get those, and Amazon said, no, I don't see nothing wrong with that. So I was scared that things might happen to me, or I might go to my car and my tires are popped or something, you know? But they did that on purpose. They flood the facilities on purpose to break up the unity that workers already have together that they see. And they use that to fracture everybody. So now we all are ending up fighting each other in the warehouse, and we're not fighting the ones that we should be fighting, which are who they hired to come in and break us all up, you know, which were the union busters. And so they got away with everything while we're in there fighting each other, and they're making it seem like they're all our friends, but they're not. And the main reason why I wanted to do this was for protection for myself and my family for better, and for my coworkers and my friends there, because I cared about what happened to them, and I seen what was happening to them, and it wasn't right. But nothing was gonna change if we went up to management and we talked to them about issues that we didn't agree with and that were wrong. It didn't matter, nothing was gonna change, because they have the power and this is what they want to do. They like it this way. They created the system this way on purpose, and we just have to abide by it. So I would tell people, if we unionize, or any of you guys work at a facility and you're non-union, unionize it because you get that power. See, right now it's only a power grab. Amazon don't like union because they're gonna lose that power to the workers. Workers need to understand that union is good for them because we get that power to be able to fight back against this trillionaire corporation or whoever you work for, these very rich people who make the rules there. But without that power, you can't fight back against it, and you can't get better for your family. So that's the main thing. If any of you work at a facility and you're thinking about unionizing, talk to your friends, do it. Just start trying it. Don't let what they do stop you, because it's only beneficial for you and your coworkers. Because now after that, you have the power to negotiate these compensation packages. My facility calls them yearly compensation packages. And they just present them, they just give them to us and say, hey, this is what you get. But we have no say. We don't get to sit at a table and discuss it and say, well, we would like this, we would like better health care, can we change this? We don't got that power, and that's the way these corporations like it. So that's why it's so important to unionize. Unionize, it doesn't matter with who, and whatever you guys feel is best for you guys, whatever union will best help you and you feel that they can provide the best for you, do it. The thing is, it's most important to unionize because it gives you the power you need to fight against them and to be able to make your own compensation packages based on what you and your family need, not on what Amazon needs to make another couple $1 billion that year, because they are a $1 trillion corporation. So my thing is, fight for a union. If you have coworkers who are trying, support them, they really need it. It's hard to get community support sometimes because we tried to reach out to different organizations, and we got community members out there to help us out, because we would be on the corners and get people signed. We would have tables on the corners where people walk out of our warehouse. And but it was a lot of us workers in the beginning just trying to clock out early or leave, so we could set up a table before everyone got out there. Or we would do it early in the morning when people are trying to get in. And we did that too, even with night shift, we would do that. But the more people out there to help, the better. And in the beginning, we didn't have too many people helping us, but then as we started talking to more people and organizations, then we started to get more people out there, and it helped so much. That's the big thing. We all are fighting our own individual battles, but when we unite together to help each other fight them, it makes such a difference, because we can't do it alone. We all need to do it together to fight these, wealthy people. And that's what it's gonna take. It's gonna take all of us banding together to help each other in our causes to fight these billionaires.
On that note, if we could all say on the count of 3, happy birthday, Nanette. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday! To be here on your birthday, like on a Saturday, it just shows that this really means a lot. And I think whether, Nanette's a volunteer, Jen's a volunteer, Jean, Heidel, these are all volunteers. So if you think the work that they're doing is so great, they are powerhouses, but they're also regular people that saw an issue and decided to take initiative to get involved. And that's literally anybody. You can talk to anybody about it, and it crosses party lines a lot of the times. We don't need any more of these things, right? I'm gonna end it right there because I'm not allowed to lobby, but I will say that I appreciate every single speaker that came up to speak with us, and we're gonna move on to our panel discussions. Give you guys like a 5-minute break, you guys can use the restroom, and then we'll come back and we'll have our speakers, and we can go ahead and ask questions. Thank you.
This is Roy Michael with Channel 21 News. I want you to forward this to everyone you know, because everybody in every community has an opportunity to stand up and speak for themselves, and this is how you do it. Please sign and describe.